complete our 1040 tax form, I'm going to go over Edgar Flores as our example, so nobody should be assigned him. Please find the person that you were assigned in the Canvas announcement as well as on the assignment. You should have Melinda, Angela, Marcus, or Boris. Go ahead and open up their W-2. It'll open in a new tab, and read over their personal information. So for us, Edgar is 16. He lives with his parents. He works 10 hours a week, and he makes $15 an hour. Once we do that, we can go down to part 2. We're going to open up this 1040 tax form. And this part is very, very, very important. So you need to download and save this document to your desktop before you start to type into it. If you do not save it and reopen it from your desktop, then it will delete all of the information that you put into it and you will have to start over. So we're going to save. I'm going to close out. And then I'm going to go back to this document and I'm going to look at this little cheat sheet that we have to help us when we're going through the information. I am not going to keep this on the screen. I have it printed out next to me, but I will let you know when we are using the cheat sheet for specific lines. So I have Edgar's W-2. And then I'm going to open up my 1040 practice form that I saved to my desktop before I started to type. So I'm going to leave it wide for just a minute while we get some information going. We're going to scroll down to page 2, and we're going to fill out his personal information. So Edgar is 16 and he lives with his parents. That means that he is single, he is not married, he is in high school. And he does not have any children, so he's not married, he's not head of household. He is single. And then we are going to fill out his personal information. So his first name and middle initial, I see right here. So Edgar J. Then his last name is right next to it, Flores. The next box, we need his social security number. So looking at the W-2, we have that from box A. We take it over to the social security number line. Again, he is not married, so we do not fill out any of the spouse information. And then we go down to his home address. We find that in the same section that we found his name. So his home address is 111 West Main Street. And his city, zip code, and state is Los Angeles, California, 90004. He does not live in an apartment, so we leave that blank. He does not live in a foreign country, so we leave it blank. And now we move on to deductions. So like we said, he works 10 hours a week at $15 an hour, and he lives with his parents. So Edgar is probably not paying for himself. His parents probably provide that 50 to 51% of his financial stability at a minimum, so he is a dependent. He is not blind and he is not married with kids, so we do not fill out either of those sections. We go straight down to this main portion of the 1040. So line 1, we're looking for wages, salaries, and tips. So if we go back to the W-2, we see that box 1 has wages, tips, and other compensation. So box 1 is where we find the answer for line 1. And he earned $5,505.00. Jumping to our cheat sheet, it tells us that lines 2A through 7A will each be 0, and I will tell you why. So we are not a nonprofit charitable organization, so we are not tax exempt. We did not invest in stocks, so we did not earn dividends. We did not contribute to an IRA. And we are not retired, so we are not receiving a pension, and we are not receiving Social Security. Now we go over to this section. We do not have taxable interest. Again, we did not buy stocks, so we did not have dividends. And then all three of these are about the prior items that we listed. So we will list taxable amount for all of those. Line 6, capital gain or loss. We did not buy or sell any property or real estate, so that is 0. Other income from Schedule 1, we did not have any other income. We just had our 10 hours a week, so we put a 0. So that is all that our cheat sheet told us to mark. And then we look at line 7B. And it asks us to add lines 1, 2B, 3B, 4D, 4B, 6, and 7A. So that is all of these numbers in this column. This does not focus on this section over here. So adding up all of these, we still end up with our $5,505.00. Line 8A asks if we have any adjustments. Our cheat sheet tells us no. So we put a 0. And then line 8B asks us to subtract that 0 from our $5,505, which leaves us still with $5,505. Now going back to our cheat sheet, it tells us that for line 9, we need to focus on if we are a dependent. So we know that we are a dependent because we live with our parents, so we're focused on those bottom 2 bullet points. So do we make more than or less than $12,200? For Edgar's case, he makes less than $12,200. So all we put in line 9 is we will add $350 to whatever number we had in 7B. So when we add that $350, we have $5,855.00. We are not a qualified business, so for line 10, we will put a 0. And then line 11A asks us to add lines 9 and lines 10 together. So we have $5,855.00. This can get a little bit tricky. So for taxable income, we subtract line 11A from line 8B. So in this scenario, we would be taking $5,505 minus $5,855. That gives us a negative number, but we don't enter negative numbers into our tax documents. We would just enter a 0. And now we move on to the page 2. So we have 12A. Our cheat sheet tells us that we need to go look at our tax table that they linked here. So I'm going to open that up. And here we have our tax table. And this is where we will write in our taxable income. We find out that our taxable income is $0, but this chart starts at 1. So we do not fall into this category. If we had taxable income, let's say that we earned $25, that was our taxable income. So the line that we found a 0 for, we would find $25, for example, and we would find what our tax credit is. So if we earned $25 with 0 children, our tax credit would be $2. Ours is not. We did not earn any taxable income. We find that out because we have a 0 right here for taxable income on line 11B. So we put a 0. Line 12B asks us to add lines 2 and 3 and 12A, which gives us 0. 13A asks if we have children. We do not, so we put a 0. 13B, 0. We are adding those numbers together. It is 0. When we subtract those numbers, it is 0. Line 15 asks us about other taxes. We do not have any. That is from the cheat sheet, so we put a 0. Line 16 asks us to add lines 14 and 15. That gives us 0. Line 17, we look at the 1099 form. Our cheat sheet tells us that we do not have a 1099 form, so we put a 0. Oh, I apologize. That was lines federal income tax. So we want to look at the amount that we withheld on our W-2s. I apologize, that was my fault. But we do not have a 1099 form. We do have our W-2. So federal tax withheld. When we look at box 2 on our W-2, we see federal income tax withheld. That is $336. So that is what we type on line 17, $336. Line 18A, this little bubble that pops off talks about if we have a qualifying child. We do not, so we put a 0. A child tax credit we do not have, so we put a 0. Our scenario did not tell us anything about the American Opportunity Credit, so we put a 0. And we do not have to look at any other schedules. We put a 0. So line 18E, when it asks us to add lines 18A through 18D, those are all zeros, so we put a 0. And then line 19 asks us to add lines 17 and 18E. So we have $336. Line 20 tells us that if line 19 is more than line 16, which it is, 19 is 336, 16 is 0, that means that we overpaid. So we overpaid by $336. So we overpaid. Line 21 talks about a refund. We want to get that money back. So we're going to say that we want the $336 refunded to us. We do not owe any money, so we leave this blank. Had we owed money, we would have left these 2 lines blank, and we would have moved it down to line 23. We would sign it, but this is not a paper copy. So now you need to go File, I believe Export as a PDF, 1040 Practice, Save. We will replace it because we're replacing the blank one. So now if we go back and we open up our 1040 Practice, it saved all of the information that we put in. It did not delete it. So now using this, we can go back and we can finish the rest of our assignment. So you will type in whoever you have, if they had a refund, or if they owed and how much. and then you will answer this analyze piece. You will turn your 1040 and this document in on Canvas.